What's up, Starcraft fans? Today we're doing the tier list for Call of the Void on Void Thrashing. Brian, let's use the mutation.
Void Thrashing is the map where we have to destroy 10 Void Thrashers before they destroy Sergeant Hammer's completely useless fortress. Each set we destroy reveals the next unless we take too long and they spawn anyway. Void Rifts spawn every 90 seconds. Each rift spawn enemy units to attack us. Void Reanimators spawn from enemy buildings and revive fallen enemies to attack us.
Okay, cool. We have Eviling and Sticksbender in the call with us today. How are you guys?
Good.
Sleepy.
All right.
Fair enough.
Sticksbender, how will you rank the commanders this week?
So we're on Call of the Void. That means that it's a whole lot of controlling the spawners of things. Basically, the number one problem is going to be getting overwhelmed by just too many Void Rifts and Void Reanimators being allowed to just stay up, because you cannot defend infinitely against Void Rifts, and very few commanders can defend infinitely against Void Reanimators, and it's going to become a lot harder when there's Void Rifts as well as those, so you're going to probably want to be sniping the Void Reanimators while you're out there.
So how do we rank the commanders?
Basically, it's going to be how well you can control the map, with bonus points for being good at completing the objective easily, and also bonus points for having a strong defense.
Okay, cool. How about you, Eviling?
It's going to come down to having your early game solidified, because once you can establish that, then Void Risk can get under control. But you have to have a strong early game, and you have to have it come online extremely quickly. So if you do have to macro up anything, it has to turn on. It can't be anything slow, such as some commanders struggle with. On the good side is it's on a short map, Void Thrashing. If this was on a longer map, this would be a bigger headache. Void Reanimators, you can actually deal with them by colloquially, you could deal with them by just full clearing the map, but since this is such a short map, you're better off with just ending the mission as quickly as possible.
Okay, so how do we rank the commanders?
Early game, if your early game is good, you're going to get a higher rank. If you can turn on real quickly, you get help solidify that rank.
Oh, okay.
Anyone
You
who
being the
takes a long
commanders.
time, no.
All right, let's begin. Abathur, where do we have him?
Abathur, I have him as an A. He doesn't need that much to turn on. He gets his Brutalists. The Brutalists are on 10-second deep tunnel cooldowns. You can easily control the risk if you can get your ultimate evolutions up. And with P2, you can kind of lock down the area. So after you get your Brutalists up, that helps solidify your early game. Then you can start focusing biomass onto swarm hosts and have them just stay in the area and say, anything that comes through here, nope.
So how about you, Sticksbender?
Yeah, Abathur having Brutalisks. If you can farm Brutalisks out, like if you can get Brutalisks out for the first Void Rifts, Abathur's a strong S contender, basically, because it's Abathur against Void Rifts. He gets to actually teleport to the Void Rifts and delete them wherever on the map they are the moment they spawn, which that was the whole thing, remember? If you could just destroy the Void Rifts the moment they spawn, you don't have to worry about things streaming into your base.
Absolutely.
His Toxic Nests give him a good early shore-up defense, and then later he has lots of money to throw at just building buildings, because he doesn't really need that much money. He just needs the biomass to get his ultimate evolutions out, and yeah, just slam ultimate evolutions into the problem and dump your money into spine crawlers, spore crawlers, and queens at home. Maybe get some like guardians or something for late game, and I feel like he should probably be S tier.
What do you think, Eviling? Is S okay for you?
Honestly, this week, I don't have anyone at S, because just due to the nature of Void Rifts.
I can understand that.
It's going to be a low slog. I can be convinced of an S, but yeah, my current notes are no one's at S.
What do you think, Sticksbender? Are you okay with nobody being an S, or are you going to make a stronger case for Abathur? Why is he stronger than everyone else in A?
I think Abathur really has, like, he really does have the best rift clearing in the game because of the fact that he doesn't need vision at all. So he doesn't have to worry about, like, when rifts decide to, did you know there's a tiny little base behind the final set of 4 Thrashers that just exists there with a whole bunch of, turrets in it for no reason?
What that
Did you know Void Rifts can spawn back there? Yeah, they can. And a lot of commanders are going to just have to look at that and go, that sucks.
And even better, nuke
Abathur.
silos can spawn there too. So if you got Terrans, you're gonna get nuked from there.
Yeah.
Oof.
But yeah, like if you have anyone other than Abathur, that's kind of annoying. Like, sure, other commanders can certainly manage to like get something there, but no one gets it quite as easily as Abathur can do it. Everywhere else on the map, you can get observers for like Karax vision, or for Manx can use ESOs to reach most of the map if he's able to control the center. Abathur doesn't have to control the center; he can sit at the ramps, which is also nice.
Okay.
So
are you convinced, Eviling, to put him in S? My one consideration for not putting, I had Abathur in A. My one consideration for not sticking him in S is once you start luring, that will immediately activate Void Reanimators, and that will make it pretty hairy to fight the Voiders while having a Reanimator at your base very early on. Also, your ally might not be ready if once you start luring right away. That's why I had him in A instead of
my
S.
understanding with Abathur on this map in particular is that he can get the first Brutalisk from just one base, like one side base, specifically the one outside of the like third set of Thrashers, I believe has enough biomass to just get a Brutalisk.
Yes.
So what you do is you just lure there, you get a Brutalisk, and when the Reanimator comes, it shows up and says, it's a Brutalisk. And the Brutalisk says, hi, I don't like you. And the Reanimator dies.
Yes, that's true. But can you do that while fighting two Void Rifts at the same time?
Because Reanimators spawn every 50 seconds, remember? And so if you've been starting at like 10 or at 1 minute is when I see most people starting their Brutalisk farming, then you should be like right in the middle of a Reanimator respawn timer when the first Void Drift spawn. So
150.
For me, it comes down to, it depends where the Reanimator spawns. It can really, if they spawn real close and start reanimating everything that you killed in order to make that Brutalist, it's going to be an issue. And then the other thing that kind of hurts for Abathur on terms of biomass farming, anything that has been spawned from a Void Rift, from a Void Reanimator, you kill it does no biomass. So you only can get biomass from things that have initially spawned on the map or attack waves.
I initially thought you were going to say the one thing against Abathur is Terran, but okay, point taken. Okay, well, so here's how we're gonna do it. If it's not unanimous, it's not S. So Eviling does not agree with S for Abathur. So unfortunately, I was okay with S, but I just personally didn't have him there. Unfortunately, we're gonna have him in A instead. Alarak, where do we have him?
Alarak, so you're definitely gonna want P3 for Alarak, obviously, because rushing a mothership is your best defense against early Voidress and Reanimators. Unfortunately, you can't really get you can barely get the mothership for the first Void Rifts, like slightly late, so you'll still have to defend against a bit of stuff. Ideally, the rifts will spawn nice and close together, so you can get both of them with the mothership and also kill what pops out of them. But either way, you're going to be killing stuff, and that means that Reanimators are going to start spawning from that point, which is only 2 minutes and 20 seconds in. So that's not fun.
Not fun. You do have overcharge though, so.
You do have overcharge, and you will probably end up, what will probably happen, because the rifts will probably spawn far apart, is you'll have one rift, you'll stick a pylon next to it, overcharge it, and kill it that way, and the other rift, you'll throw a mothership at it.
Yes, most likely. Unless it's at the back of the first Thrasher spawn, where it sometimes spawns there.
You can still throw a mothership at it, because the mothership can just kind of fly past.
That will still work, yeah.
Especially flying over unpathable terrain there, because there's unpathable terrain between the Thrasher and the expansions, and that means that less stuff can shoot at you.
Yes. Letter.
So that's your early aim, and then from there, you kind of just make Void Rays, keep squads of Void Rays flying around, and hope for the best.
Yes.
Yes, destroyers. It's not terrible.
Not terrible.
A pack of like 10 destroyers can just hunt down rifts without too much issue.
Yes.
There's nothing that makes the enemy stronger. It's just there's so many things spawning more of them, so you have to keep on top of those. The biggest problem for Alarak will be rifts that decide to spawn in
the back of the base. Yes.
You know, where the bonus objective is and whatnot. Those areas, pretty terrible.
You can kind of pre-clear it by sending the mothership there if you have some spare time, and then stick a few Void Rays there, but again, that's time invested instead of doing the objectives.
And also, it's like by the time you fly the mothership back there, 2 new sets of rifts will spawn because they spawn quickly and the mothership walks slowly. B, C.
B or C. How about you, Eviling?
I have Alarak from A to B.
A to B.
He has, with P3, he has that early game pressure. It comes out a little late, but you do have your overcharges to help supplement. The good thing about Alarak is, unlike Abathur, who kind of suffers from the biomass issues from Voidrus and Reanimators, Alarak doesn't suffer from that. You keep on killing the enemies, he will keep on getting their juicy souls for health replenishment.
All right, so we both of you intersect at B. I personally had him in B, so are we going to put him in B?
I guess so.
All right. We recommend the 3rd Prestige Shadow of Deaths because you can get the mothership quickly, which will be quick enough for the Void Rifts. Army-wise, we recommend just Mass Destroyers, right, guys?
It's
Right.
only quick enough for the Void Rifts if you literally
If you
rush
rush it.
gas.
Yes.
You completely rush gas. You will be
Double
literally
gas.
cutting early probes.
Yes.
To get that double gas.
Double
faster.
gas before first probe. Yes.
Not before first probe.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's like gas probe gas, but
All
you really like to get the mothership for the first Void Rifts is really tight.
Yes.
Basically you don't really quite have it for the first set of Void Rifts, but after that you'll have a mothership.
Yes. Arcturus, where do you have him?
Arcturus, I have from A to B. I recommend P3 because that's going to be your
Inhumane.
quickest path to early game solidification. Get that drop pod upgrade and do your best to get the risks under control. And in the meantime, trying to solidify your economy, get that rolling so that you have your mandate going. And if you can manage to hold on past maybe I'd say 7 to 8 minute mark, I think you'll be on a
820.
good path to victory.
820 is when you need to be stable. That's when the quadruple rift spawn. Letter.
Yeah, that's fair. I said A to B.
A to B. How about you, Sticksbender?
Okay, so Mengsk is, I think he's solidly A tier, but I think that if you want to be carrying this thing, then relying entirely on ESOs is going to be very sketchy because, yes, 820 is when you have to worry about quadruple rift spawns, and that's also when you have to worry about unbound rift spawns. Before that, rifts have to spawn within a certain distance of your base.
I think 90.
After that,
30 to
not
90
any.
radius from player 1 space.
Yes. After that, they can spawn way back at the back of the map.
Yes.
So, with Mengsk, if you are using entirely ESOs to shoot rifts, you will find that ESOs are pretty slow about killing rifts. They also will leave stuff dead everywhere for reanimators.
Oh, yes.
And they'll be even slower about killing reanimators because reanimators are a smaller target.
And they move fast.
And they move, yes. So that's not the greatest time. If you want to be really carrying this one with Mengsk, you are going to want to rush out a battle cruiser or one or two battle cruisers, and those guys are going to jump around killing rifts in the back, while rifts near the front get dealt with by squads of troopers and also ESOs helping with getting DPS on those rifts. You're still going to be using ESOs for the objective, but basically just going straight to the center is going to be very difficult if you're alone, and is going to kind of need good Rift RNG.
Yes.
Just
Not
setting
speaking
up
from experience, by the
around-
way. Totally not speaking from experience.
Just setting up around your base with bunkers, however, using battle cruisers to snipe back rifts, and getting those ESOs set up, like kind of advancing the ESOs as you need to reach further and further Void Thrashers, should work fine. I think he's solidly A tier. He's got a very strong defense. He's got good rift sniping, decent early game, and then he's able to get the objective pretty easily once you can, get enough money snowballed from after having set up all the essentials of the bunkers and the battle cruisers.
Okay,
And
so
I honestly think that any prestige will work pretty decently for Mengsk.
cool. Both of you are okay with him in A, so I guess we'll put him in A. I had him in B, but I'm okay with A. Artanis, where do we have him?
Artanis is fine here, actually. Originally, back in the olden days, when Void Rifts were first conceived as a mutation,
Get off his lawn,
Artanis
guys.
was considered one of the best commanders for Void Rifts way back when. Because of starting with Warp Gate and Max Supply, he has a really fast early game for getting units out. Plus, he can deal with one of the Void Rifts by just shooting it with Orbital Strike. So between those two things, first set of rifts, not really too much of a problem. After that, it's just kind of rushing out observers so you can get vision of the back of the map and making sure that you are just kind of scattering yourself. Basically, you're going to end up wanting to go Zealot, Dragoon, Immortal, and just getting scattered around the map. Tempests are also an option. Tempests will give you more independent clearing power, but they will give you less rift sniping power. So it kind of depends on what your ally is doing, or if you're just trying to solo this, then you are probably going to end up needing to use the Tempest route. But either way, scattering stuff around the map,
Works.
getting just enough force to push into bases. If you're helping with the pushing into bases, the Tempest can poke away at the bases without having to really risk much of anything. Especially with Disintegrate. Disintegrate can be cast from far enough away that you do not draw aggro from enemies.
Yes. Ladder.
And Disintegrate one-shots Void Rifts, so that's another important note. And Reanimate.
I think not before it spawns stuff, but ladder.
No, not before it spawns stuff, but it won't spawn lots of stuff. It'll do like the little spawns, not the big spawn. Anyways, B.
B. How about you, Eviling?
I have Artanis from B to C, recommending a P3. He needs that early game pressure solidified with the Unbound Fanatics. Spread your stuff around, as Sticksbender said. Try to spread observers around as early as you can so that you have vision, because once you go out into targeting, you can't really move your units. So you got to have vision established for the risk so you can drop a Fanatic on it, and hopefully you can have your vision spread out so you can drop on any risks that are coming out to par.
Yeah.
Tempest, great idea. Try to position them on the unpathable terrain so that they won't get harassed by stuff that gets reanimated or stuff that gets barfed off from the Void Rifts.
Alternatively,
and when it comes time to deal with it, then send them in and disintegrate and run away.
Alternatively, maybe you do want them to fight on the stuff instead of the stuff going to your base, but I guess it's your choice. I had it personally in C. Because while I understand that all the things you mentioned can work, I do recognize that those do work. I'm just thinking that it's doable, but not, that easy. It takes a lot of work, so I'm okay with B star. Or I guess it could be star or just be without the star.
I would also note, by the way, P0 is generally better against Void Rifts for Artanis, actually, not P3.
He's Guardian Shell.
Because not because Guardian Shell entirely, although Guardian Shell kind of ends up helping, ironically, because it makes it that much more certain that you can get vision of rifts. Like, Amon thinks he's all clever, hiding a rift behind all his defenses, but little does he know, your Zealot just doesn't care and walks through. But the other thing is because it just makes your orbital strike cheaper. Which means that you can just orbital strike the rift without having to worry about. Yeah, like you're not going to get 2 rifts with a single Archon drop in general. Sometimes you can, but in general, assuming the rifts will spawn nice and close for you like that, well, the rifts that spawn nice and close together are probably the ones you could just send units and not use an orbital strike on.
All right, let's put in B. Dehaka, where do we have him?
Dehaka, I have him from A to B, recommending P2 just so that he has his pack leader, so he doesn't have to really rely on essence too much. Once he gets his pack leaders going, it becomes almost like Void Rift clear, Reanimator clear for that whole area. With Glevig, you can deep tunnel around the map and clear multiple Void Rifts. Dehaka himself, once he gets enough essence, can also be deep tunneling around and clearing Void Rifts. So he has good tools to do it. It's just the essence problem prevents the other prestiges from being more viable, in my opinion.
All right. How about you, Sticksbender?
I don't know, man. I just know Dehaka looks good against Void Rifts when I've seen solos with Dehaka against Void Rifts.
I know Dehaka can just eat the Reanimators if he needs to, but that's my primary base for putting him in A.
Yeah. Eating Reanimators is good. They're tanky. Like it's good as in it's a good thing to have as a backup plan for eating them.
yeah.
Do note, of course, that'll put it on a very long
60
cooldown to lick
seconds.
things. Yes. Which Reanimators spawn more often than 60 seconds. So
Yeah.
don't lick them if it's possible to not lick them. But if you need to just keep things under control,
That'll work. That'll do it.
then the
Or
thing,
if
yeah,
you're-
they'll be dead.
If you're P2, eat it, then use a pack eater. Then it doesn't matter if it's on cooldown because so is Dehaka himself. So
Yes.
letter.
Sure, A I guess is fine.
All right, let's put him in A. Unanimous, I think. Phoenix, where do I have him?
So Phoenix is going to have a time. He has like it looks really good at first if you use P2. You just throw Angry Zealot at problems and he will be able to kill close rift spawns. He'll be able to take out Reanimators and whatnot. Defending your base is going to look a little awkward since there's stuff
Yes.
coming from all directions.
Plus the far rifts.
Yes. And then, well, no, I was saying that early on, before the far rifts. Once the far rifts show up, then everything kind of just is going to rapidly fall apart, and it's going to look considerably less convincing. If you want to be less scrambled, you might go for not P2 and try to make a massive blob of carriers, but then he's slow. So you're going to basically get to pick between, do you want to have a really solid early game, and then you're just going to become immensely dependent on your ally past the early game? Or do you want to have a strong late game, but early on you're going to be kind of just working hard to do your part and keep the team alive? Either way, Phoenix is not exactly a great solo candidate if you have no teammate.
Letter.
B, C, I think.
How about you, Eviling?
I completely agree. I have Phoenix from B to C. I'm recommending P2. Get your champions out quick. So Caldalis, of course, will be your first one to get your early game pressure going. Then follow up with Talus, and depending upon the comp, either start getting your Robo champions out or your Stargate champions out, because you're going to need to be splitting your attention several ways. One on the offense, one to deal with trickles that walk their way into your base. You're going to kind of have to treat your champions kind of like a lone wolf P2 Tychus in some sense, and just try to multitask as best as you can, hold on, and if you can hold on long enough, and you win the game, sort of, because once the far risks start coming up, you're gonna have to get creative on how you deal with them. Make use of the Arbiter suit to either recall your champions in, or drop Praetor suit to deal with the rift, drop a Dragoon suit if you got the vision. It's gonna be tricky, but it's doable, not horrid as some other commanders maybe.
All right.
So yeah, BTC.
My idea was actually just sticking the Dragoon suit on attack wave, so it wouldn't matter what enemy composition is. But I'm okay with. I actually had him in C. So do we put him in C?
Yes.
Hot and Horner, where do we have him?
On and Horner, they have the tool to deal with Void Risk if they can get it online. The Strike Fighters can go where they want and are relatively unhindered, and they technically don't need vision. If you have an area that's been still covered with fog of war, you can hover your mouse around the area where you think the Void Rift is, and if you get it right,
circle.
you'll see the outline on it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can try to mini-map it. If you are very comfortable with that, you usually can hit the Void Rift just by on the mini-map. I have Han and Order from B to C. Not the greatest. Again, they need the time to get their Strike Fighters off, and with the pressure that you're going to get from Void Risks and Reanimators, the game might end by that time.
Yeah,
but I'm
Reanimators.
recommending P1 because you have that early game
Magmites.
pressure with your Magmines.
Yes.
And that can help you
They
close the
delete
rifts
really
and
fast.
defend your base.
How about you, Sticksbender?
Han and Horner make a really, really great support commander
I
here
agree.
because they can just completely nullify the rifts.
Yes, they're some
And
of the best
then
commanders
the
against
Reanimators
rifts.
are-
A pain.
And then there's Reanimators.
Yeah,
Because they don't get to Reanimators don't have a mini-map ping, and they're also not a structure anyway, so you need tons of strike fighters to kill them because they don't have the structure tag. They don't take bonus damage from strike fighters.
Yeah.
Basically what you're going to end up wanting to do with Han and Horner is early on get out your Reapers and or Hellions. Hellions have more building DPS than Reapers, so they might be better for those early rifts. I would personally probably get Hellions out early. Get those
Sure.
early units. They have really good anti-structure DPS, so if the rifts are nice and spawn in undefended areas, then they will die very quickly.
Very
so
quickly.
that's helpful.
Yes.
And then as this game goes on, you get your strike fighters, you get to nullify rifts. You will not be able to give massive help to the objectives. Your best help is probably going to be your top bar. You are going to need
The rest of your army
s-
will be running
snowball your
around taking care of
Your
void
ar-
reanimators.
Yeah, which will take a while to snowball your army to a size where it can handle reanimators too, but pretty much, yeah, Han and Horner are great support, really great support. They are not doing the objective very comfortably while supporting. Could argue they're in D, but if you're trying to carry a properly incompetent ally, then probably they're in C.
That's where I had him. I had him in C because of the reanimators. Are we okay with C, or do we bump him up to B?
Yep.
Karax, where do we have him?
So Karax, he has a good defense. He's really good at killing rifts, and he actually can nail rifts, and he can just hold off reanimators for somewhat indefinitely until you get to having cleared later bases, and then the reanimators have big stuff to revive. And then you have the problem. And he can snipe Void Thrashers with Mirages without having to really clear out the base, which is especially good because not only does he get the advantage of he doesn't have to clear out the base, which means he doesn't have to fight through the defense. He just gets to snipe the objective. But then he doesn't have reanimators reviving the giant hybrid and whatnot that he killed in those bases because he didn't kill them. He just flew around and killed the Void Thrashers. And the reanimators do not revive the Void Thrashers and send them at you like in that last Legacy Void epilogue mission, the first Legacy Void epilogue mission where reanimators just kind of float menacingly towards you. That doesn't happen.
Void Thrashers.
Somewhat unfortunately, perhaps. He's a second S candidate with Abathur.
I had him in S, but how about you, Eviling? You didn't have an S
I
either.
ca-
You don't have anyone in S.
No one in S, but I definitely have Karax in A to B.
All right.
I recommend P3. He has good defense. The main thing is getting that vision so that you can rain space lasers down.
Why not the second prestige so you can have cheaper mirages?
You could
That's
have cheaper
a solid
mirages. It is an option, but I value more
Energy for
P3
the
ability to have
because
cannons.
yeah, the cannons you're gonna need that for all the trickle
That makes
and
sense.
that comes your way.
That makes sense. Let's stick him in A then. Kerrigan, where do we have him?
I have Kerrigan in B to C. Her early game or like when the wrist spawn is gonna be real sketch. But once you can get past that, once Kerrigan comes out, then things start getting better. Kerrigan
Yes.
can go kind of just hammer her way into the wrist, close them until they get really far. But hopefully once they get really far, you have enough economy so that you can start making Omega Worms. And once that's solidified, that helps to help you and your ally to close rifts a lot quicker.
How about you, Sticksbender?
D. The first two rifts, what the heck are you gonna do? Spit out Zerglings? That's kind of what you have to do.
Hold on for
which
dear
is
life.
Yeah, hold on for dear life. Zerglings, I don't know if you've heard this, but Zerglings are not very good fighting units.
They're
you need
good
quite a few
bullying
Zerglings.
units.
You need quite a few units to, you need quite a few Zerglings to actually just survive until Kerrigan spawns. And then when Kerrigan spawns, she has to put out a whole lot of fires. And oh, by the way, right, we have reanimators as well as those rifts.
Yes.
There's going to be lots of reanimators. I think that basically, if you're going to be alive at 4 minutes, it's because your ally carried for the first 4 minutes.
Yes.
And then, hey, once we survive those first 4 minutes, what's the big payoff? We have a Kerrigan who can jump around, and she's okay at sniping rifts in the back. Still going to have to worry about reanimators all over the place. You have your static defense is not great. It's not like she has, Han Horner level static defense, but it's not good. It's pretty bad. You don't even have Abathur at least had auto transfuse on his queen, but you don't got that. As far as I know, we still haven't changed the fact that Malignant Creep doesn't work on buildings, unlike in Heart of the Swarm campaign.
Yes.
Right. So the payoff is and the cost is you're getting carried for the first 4 minutes, and then you're going to have to hope that you're good enough with Kerrigan to help put out all the fires, and then you're going to have to run way into the back of everything. And Omega Worms are a worse vision source than observers anyways.
Yes. That being said, okay, so where do you have him in D? I actually had Kerrigan in C because I do recognize all those things, but the hero unit is actually, I don't know, I think Kerrigan, the hero unit is pretty good. Plus for my defense, I'll just teleport back home using the Omega Worm. And for vision, okay, this is where it gets a little sketch, but you can float an Overlord at the back, and that theoretically provides vision for the Omega Worm, so you can pop Kerrigan out and then pop down the rift. That's why I had him in C instead of D. But
Between finding reanimators and killing rifts, like the key of finding reanimators, Kerrigan is not going to be able to put out fires as fast as they start. She's not going to be able to kill spawners as fast as Amon is spawning spawners. And that's just without Kerrigan at all contributing to defense against the trickle, let alone waves.
oh, by the way, for the first part,
And let alone actually getting onto the objective.
I think spine crawlers are how you hold on for dear life, not zerglings. But
Exactly.
Yeah, probably.
For me, it's spine crawlers and queens because they will focus down the queens, and then as they chase the queens, let the spine crawlers do their thing. And once they get on the queens, you burrow the queens, and then you have them play whack-a-mole for a little while until you can get by the time that Kerrigan can come out.
So for good reason, every Kerrigan solo I've seen against rifts, she always gets the Zerglings to kill those first rifts, because if you have to use spine crawlers, you need like 7 spine crawlers to still be alive by the time Kerrigan spawns. So either way, you're basically saying you're going to have no economy by the time Kerrigan pops out, because you're going to have to just say, I can't make drones. I just have to spam out things to live.
Have to survive. That's what Kerrigan says. But
and it's rifts plus reanimators. So realistically, Kerrigan just isn't surviving by herself until the 4-minute mark very easily at all. It's going to be super, super tough staying alive for those first 4 minutes. And then the payoff is someone who's decent at killing rifts and reanimators. Not good, like say Han and Horner or Karax, decent at it. It's not good.
okay, what do you think, Eviling?
That's a fair assessment. That, I mean, as I said, hold on to dear life. So yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to putting her at D.
All right, let's put her in D. I had her in C.
And then what procedures are we recommending then?
I think at this point, once you're in D, you either are good enough that you can make any prestige work, or
well, no, you're not
don't.
making B1 work.
Yeah, you just don't. But okay, let's put her in D. Nova, where do we have him?
Nova has one thing that she really does bring to the table is unlike Kerrigan, and that is she's really good at obliterating those Void Thrashers when things actually, pop up.
Specifically Liberators.
She has those Liberators to just kind of say, hello, Void Thrashers. I disapprove of your existence.
All right, how about you, Eviling?
I have Nova from A to B.
A to B.
She has abilities. I mean, her ability to kill things is pretty paramount, and I'm recommending P1 because you want shotgun mode. Having the ability to blink past enemy encampments and get vision on a Void Rift is pretty crucial. I mean, P3 has Super Cloak, but the thing is, that would be okay if it was less intense. But you got Void Rifts and Void Reanimators. You need to be closing them quickly.
What do you think?
If you can get vision, you can start dropping stuff right on top of it.
What do you think, Sticksbender?
Yeah, I think B is okay for Nova, I guess.
Right.
She has on top of as we said, she's good at killing Void Thrashers, and her ability to kill Rifts is not terrible, and she actually has early game units that function.
All right,
in
that
the form
makes
of
sense.
Marines.
Okay, B it is. I had her in C, but B is okay. Raynor, where do we have him?
Typical Raynor, he takes time to start spinning up. Yes, you do have your Dustwings and Hyperion to effectively clear your early risks, but you can't be relying them all the time. The good thing about Raynor, he can drop units wherever the Void Rifts are. He doesn't need vision. He just needs to know where those rifts are and start dropping stuff on top of them. But his units are not durable. So they're going to get overwhelmed if you're just barely dropping enough on it. I have him from C to D. I would recommend Prestige number 3 as the Void Rifts respawn in that area. You just have the Banshees you have sitting there. Take care of it as quick as possible, and hopefully you're reducing the cooldown on your calldowns as much as possible to keep on clearing out those rifts.
How about you, Sticksbender?
Yeah, Jimmy's gonna be unhappy. Yeah, you're going to just be scrambling to clear rifts, scrambling to kill reanimators.
All right.
Yeah, it's just kind of literally a case of he's too slow to get started, and when he does get going, he still has to be like multitasking on all fronts in order to try to stay on top of things. He still has to be on top of things constantly.
All right.
Like you have to kill the rifts at least spawn.
All
and
right.
You don't have a teleporting army.
All right. So let's put him in D. I have him in B because the time I played this with the Raynor, that Raynor was Lila, so skewed evidence.
It's kind of skewed.
Stet boy, where do we have him?
Stetmann is he's got a very strong hero unit. He's got a decent army with his Zerglings. He should be fine for B, I think.
All right. How about you, Eviling?
I have Stetmann from A to B. I would recommend P2 or P3. P2 just sheer killing power. P3 has, if you can get like your Ultralisk out. The good thing is, so we mentioned before, biomass, essence, XP, that doesn't accumulate from killing stuff that pops out of Void Risk or killing the Reanimators or stuff that's reanimated. But for P3, best oil, as long as you kill something, kind of like Alarak, the blood will keep on flowing and make things happy.
Okay.
So,
letter.
yeah, A to B.
How about you, Sticksbender?
I'm sorry, you recommended P3?
I recommend P3 or P2.
Yeah, you're gonna want P2. But
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but insanely powerful Gary is just the basis for all things Stetmann steamrolling. But yeah, I think B is the right place for Stetmann. As strong as Gary is, as decent as his army is, he does not have anything that lets it. Okay, he can teleport onto rifts in the back, but he needs a Stellite back there, and that has a very long cooldown. So technically, but not really.
You don't need a Stellite back there. You turn on Gary's zone.
Yeah, that's how you get a
Turn on
Stellite back
Blue
there.
Zone.
That's what Sticksbender was saying. That's how you
Yes,
get
but-
the Stellite back there.
Well, no, if you want to teleport on the rift, and if you want to sprint on the rift of Blue Zone, that's also a thing you can do. Again, long cooldown.
yes. Okay.
Basically, you can't.
Both
get
of you
him
agree
back.
with B, right?
Yep.
All right. I had him in C because of the aforementioned far rift, but both of you said B, so let's put him in B. Stukov, where do we have him?
Stukov P3 players are not going to rejoice on this one. You are too slow to get anything out in a reasonable amount of time to deal with things that are going to pile up real
Speaking
quickly.
from experience. Letter.
I'm saying Stukov is C to D. I recommend P1 because that's your best bet for early game pressure and
Yes.
trying to close things as quick as possible. Don't go for Diamondbacks. Go for Banshees.
Are you crazy? I
they
did
will-
go for Mass Diamondbacks. That's how I beat this mutation.
Oh, yeah,
As Stukov.
fair enough. I think Banshees are better because just air units able to navigate the terrain and
Lime
go
Trail
around and snipe
really
things.
lets you trade better with Amon.
You want
Fair.
both.
All right, fair.
Yeah.
You want a team of Banshees just large enough to snipe Voidrifts in the back.
I use
And then
Diamondbacks
you-
for that.
Diamondbacks. Well, do you use Diamondbacks for the rifts in the bonus objective area? I'm
No,
guessing
I
you
use
killed those
2-2 for that.
late.
That
Yeah.
that doesn't.
Big Diamondbacks. What
Yeah.
a couple Banshees for sending to the back and killing rifts back there.
Letter.
Stukov is E, and I don't know how Jimmy ended up all the way up in D. He should have been E as well,
E?
clearly.
Okay. Are you
Yeah.
okay with E Eviling?
Yeah, I'm okay with E.
I had-
Stukov being an E. Jimmy, I think, would be D because he can just drop stuff right on top.
Yes.
Stukov can't.
Because Lilac can still make him
You
work
can-
somehow.
Yeah, I mean, Kerrigan has soloed this, so.
There we go. Has Stukov
Right.
soloed this?
I know.
Yes.
Wow.
But he uses
Cage?
Stukov, like Phoenix, uses Reanimator Cage.
All right.
Kerrigan actually does it without Reanimator Cage.
There we go. That's why Kerrigan's in D. Okay, Stukov E. Are we okay with E?
Okay with E.
I had him in D, but that's because I had no one else in D, so that's where I put him. E is fine.
Actually, Stukov does have a run without Reanimator Cage, so yeah.
There we go.
No Reanimator Cage for Stukov. Good job, buddy. Yeah, okay.
Does
he
it
can
does
be
it
D.
put up to does that put him up to D?
Yeah, he can be D.
All right, let's put him in D.
Jimmy is still E. Jimmy hasn't soloed at all.
Oh,
Lila
Raynor hasn't
hasn't
soloed at all.
soloed this mutation successfully with Jimmy. He tried.
We'll discuss that later. So Stukov for the first rift, you absolutely want a fast bunker. 14 barracks, then I think 19 or 18 bunker. And then depending on the rift spawn, you want to reposition your bunker to where the rift is. You want to have 2 workers repairing right away. Hold on for dear life until the apocalypse clears the rifts, and then mass Diamondbacks. Add Banshees if you need to snipe the rifts in the back. Have a separate control group of Diamondbacks on the other side of the map from where your army is, so you can snipe the rift to spawn there, and then just hope that it doesn't screw you over big time by putting rifts or rammers in really bad places. All right, let's move on. Swann, where do we have him?
Swann is good at sniping rifts. Swann has good defense, and Swann is quite capable of killing thrashers. He's not like Karax level good at all these things, but he's a lot easier than Karax, ironically.
Yes.
And actually, he's better than Karax at the the thrasher sniping.
Yes.
Worse than Karax with the reanimators. Worse than Karax with the rifts. Worse than Karax with base defense.
So slightly worse overall. Letter.
I'd still say he's A, honestly.
Yeah, that's where I had him too. How about you, Eviling?
I had Karax from B to C. I can be convinced to A. It's not that much of an issue. His base defense is good. Laser drill, good unit. I would recommend P1 just because Reanimator is going to pile up. If you can slow them, and then because Reanimators do like to kite, so keeps them slow and helps the AoE helps kind of take down a bunch of stuff that may be piling up. P2 I could also I wouldn't be surprised that would work well. P3 no.
All right. So for the Thrashers, you just use wraiths, right? Or just the factories?
Yes.
Yep.
Wraiths.
You can also use factories.
And for the fall rifts, you just use a Hercules for vision.
Yes, and you can also use factories for the reanimators, but because that will be slow and will take a lot of your laser drills time, once you get a ball of wraiths, just use wraiths. They're very, very fast, much faster than mirages. And actually, ironically, wraiths might end up feeling better for killing reanimators just because of the fact that Karax is going to have his mirages spending so much time shooting the thrashers that they won't have very much time to kill the reanimators, while as Swann, he just walks up and kills the thrasher like no time flat.
Boop dead.
And the only real reason that I say mirages are better than wraiths for killing reanimators is that mirages are a bit faster, a bit more durable, and they stun the reanimator when they kill it. Because yes, you can graviton beam reanimators.
That's really cool.
Which,
You make
yes,
him
it is
stop
cool.
reanimating. All right. So
Yes,
are we
stop
okay with A?
reanimating.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's put him in A. Let's move on. Tychus, where do we have him?
Tychus, a very good early game with P2. Just head straight down the lane. As you get more outlaws, then have them control each zone, which works to P2's advantage. I have him from A to B.
A to B. How about you, Sticksbender?
Really, Tychus should be S with Lone Wolf.
Yeah, I do have an S. He's my other S tier. Add to S tier is Karax and Tychus.
Yeah, you chuck outlaws at things, and the things just kind of die because Lone Wolf is really good. Lone Wolf has a bit of a history of it was released, and then it was nerfed, and then it was buffed back up to somewhere between the original Lone Wolf and the post-nerf Lone Wolf. And we're currently in that in-between. But when it was at its weakest, there were solos done with Tychus on this mutation just to show how Lone Wolf was still broken at that power level.
All right.
And they decided to buff it up again. So, yeah.
Let's do it. S for Tychus.
S for Tychus?
Tychus
All right. We're going to have an S tier, guys. We did it. Thank you, Tychus.
She's not bad. She's not bad. She has time stop allows her to just completely say, you know how there's an objective on this map? I don't see no objective.
Yes.
And Dark Templar are very good for killing rifts and reanimators. But it has to be very much rushing out. Get out those Dark Templar. Get on top of them because you're invisible and all that. It's good, but also another thing that Vorazun has is that she has the ability to make cloak walls.
Yes.
That's very good. The rifts will eventually start spawning void rays, but All right. So until then, you can use not void rays. Well, yes, void rays, but they'll start spawning void rays. They'll start spawning ravens. That was what I was thinking. But they'll also spawn void rays and banshees. Just lots of air units. Eventually, they'll start spawning air units. However, by then, you should have a nice big RV setup, and you should be on to getting ready to time stop, obliterate the last set of thrashers. At which point, it doesn't matter that your base is crumbling because you have one. So I would say Vorazun is probably an A, maybe only B, but she's somewhere between A and B.
How about you, Eviling?
Yeah, I have Vorazun from A to B. P3, of course, you need to have that time stop mute button and time stop whenever you can, because that's going to help delay the amount of void rifts that you got to deal with and the less reanimators you got to deal with overall. You're looking to end the mission as quick as possible, and delaying the mission is kind of a means to do so.
Is Vorazun closer to Abathur, Dehaka, Karax, or Alarak, Stet Boy, Artanis.
Honestly, she's probably actually B for one simple reason of if you are relying on cloak walls, which Vorazun is good at, you are making it a little tricky to help defend your ally. You know, Vorazun's gonna make things more awkward for her ally, basically. So probably B, actually.
Are you okay with B, Eveling?
Yep. I had her from A to B. That's perfect fine.
I had her in C, but both of you guys said B, so let's put her in B. Zagara, where do I have him?
Thank you, Prestiges. You gave Zagara a deep tunnel. Not a
She
good
has half a
deep tunnel
Brutalisk.
Yeah, she's
Brutalist.
half a brutalist that she used to be. She's not as good as Abathur, but she does have a means to deal with fire rifts, and the P3 Zag hero she can close rifts pretty damn well once she gets on top of them.
All
I
right.
have her for B to C.
How about you, Sticksbender?
Oh yeah, she's B. The half a Brutalisk is in fact that good. Also, she has Scourge to snipe Void Thrashers. Just be careful against Terran because Thors exist.
Yes. Okay,
Thors
so
exist.
basically...
Against Protoss, Archons also exist, but the Archons are not like around the edges, so you can kind of
Their range is
avoid
very
getting
limited
in range
compared
of
to
them
a
ever.
Thor.
All right, so basically Zagara is more well-rounded than Hot and Horner.
Kinda. I think no. She's not nearly as good as Haunted Hoarder at sniping rifts.
Yeah, that's why it's rounded.
She's actually better at killing objectives than at killing rifts. It's just that she can kill objectives, or can kill rifts. I mean,
Yeah.
she's good at killing objectives.
All right, so
She's terrible with reanimators.
so we
But
stick...
she makes up for that by just like having such good rift killing and objective killing that she should be able to survive the reanimators if she's really focusing on the reanimators as the number one threat for Zagara.
All right, so we stick her in B, right?
Yeah.
All right, I had her in C. Yeah, actually, I do have her in B. Nice. And just to continue that streak of unbroken bi-launchers. There it is. Zeratul, where do we have him?
He makes cannons. He uses the cannons. He's A tier.
All right, cannon's good. How
He
about
has
you?
better observers too.
Better observers too. There we go. How about you, Eveling?
I have Zeratul from A to B. Spin to win for the win.
I had Zeratul in A, so we just converge in A.
A is
Yes.
fine.
All right. If Tutu were here, I was gonna ask him if he did mine. He probably did because this one is probably too hard to know mining. So that's gonna be our rankings for this week. Tychus the only S. Who's best in A?
Abathur.
Abathur?
Yeah.
Not Karax.
Abathur, because Karax you gotta work to get to the
All right.
rifts.
Abathur it is. Then who's next?
Well, Abathur has to work to get to
the
exist,
Brutalisk.
but,
There we
yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus
I
he
don't
triggers the Reanimators early. But I'm okay with Abathur being top of
Abathur's
A.
a lot stronger. Karax is a lot easier.
I did originally have Abathur on top of my A. There we go. But it's because Karax S. But who's next in A?
Then Karax.
Then Karax. There we go.
Zeratul.
Then Zeratul. Okay. And then...
Thanks. Dehaka's the bottom. Like he's not even Dehaka. He's not quite like far enough behind that he's like closer to the B's and the A's, but he's by far the worst of the A's. Like a big gap.
Okay.
Yeah, he needs to have his pack leader up in order to turn on.
Okay. Who's best in B?
Mm,
Look at my own list. I don't have anyone in A or S who ended up in B.
To me, it's kind of between Alarak or Stetmann.
Alarak or Stetboy. I did have Alarak as my own B. Is half a Brutalisk enough to be top of B?
I don't quite think so.
Don't quite think so.
Yeah.
So Alarak, top of B?
Yeah, Alarak is just
Probably.
outright more killing power.
Alright, and then who's next? Stetboy? Or half a Brutalisk?
Deep tunnels,
Probably Stetmann.
Stetboy?
Well,
Brutalisk? Or half a
no,
Brutalisk?
it's gotta be Zagara. It's gotta be Zagara.
Alright, half
Yeah.
Brutalisk. There we go. Hey, my original B. There we go. Second in B. And then who's next? Stetboy?
Then we probably go
Then
Stetmann.
Then Nova?
I'd say
Artanis.
then Vorazun and then Nova.
Vorazun.
Artanis
no,
is
Artanis
probably the bottom of B.
Yeah, yep.
Still B though it's
Yep.
still
Still
the
B.
lower third of commanders. For some reason we're very A
Yes.
and B heavy. I was C heavy on my own list. Who's top of C?
Well, that's probably honestly your C heavy list was probably more accurate. We probably should be doing some shimmying people down, but
Yeah,
whatever.
I had Artanis in C. I had Nova in C. I had Vorazun in C. I had Stetboy in C. I'm very C heavy because this is a hard mutation.
It is a hard mutation. We have
Absolutely.
people way too top. This tier list is way too top heavy for how hard it is, but whatever.
We're here now.
They're here now.
We're not going to spend time shuffling with it because we already didn't spend too much time allocating it.
Yes.
Uh,
Who's top of
Han
C?
and Horner's better than Phoenix.
All right, I
Yep.
agree with that. Top
Kerrigan's
of
better than
Down.
Stukov.
Kerrigan's better. Oh wait, we're sticking Raynor in E. All right, there we go.
Oh, yes.
All right, there it is, guys. Watch Sticksbender's channel. To Evil League doesn't have a channel. You should make a channel, Evil League, so I can promote you. Even if you never post there, I will link it down below, and I will see you guys next time.